At dawn in early 2026, tankers hesitate at the mouth of Hormuz. Radios crackle with a blunt message: no passage. Energy shocks start like this. This is how the world's heartbeat stutters. Not with a battlefield map, but with a shipping lane holding its breath, and insurers rewriting the price of risk. In late February 2026, joint US-Israeli strikes hit Iran in broad waves, under names like Epic Fury and Roaring Lion. Air defenses, command nodes, missile sites hit in rapid sequence. This is how a regional war becomes a global invoice. Iran answers fast. Missiles arc toward bases and cities across the region. The retaliation spreads outward like sparks finding dry brush. Then comes the threat that matters to everyone: the Strait of Hormuz. A channel so tight you can see the cliffs, and so vital it carries a fifth of global oil. If ships stop moving here, the world pays for it everywhere. At the pump, in freight costs, in food prices, in layoffs, and we have lived this movie before. In 1973, the oil was cut, not by bombs, but by embargo. The lines formed anyway. Back then, the trigger was a war in October. Egypt and Syria hit Israel in a surprise attack. The fighting lasted days, but the shock lasted years. Washington rushed weapons to Israel. Arab producers watched and measured. Then they used the only lever that reached every household: the barrel. On October 17th, Saudi Arabia and OPEC tightened the spigot. Not all at once. First a small cut, then deeper again. Only a slice of global supply disappeared, roughly 7%. Yet oil prices exploded because confidence vanished with the first missing tanker. Crude rose from about $3 to more than $11 in months, a 300% to 100% jump born from fear as much as physics. America learned what scarcity feels like in slow motion. Gas stations ran dry by lunchtime. Drivers circled blocks, hunting rumors like prey. Lines stretched for hours. Odd and even days decided who could buy. Tempers broke. People fought over gallons. A rich nation learned what begging for fuel feels like. Stocks did not like the new world. The Dow fell hard, then kept falling. In the end, nearly half the value evaporated. Prices rose while growth died. A monster with two heads. Economists gave it a name: stagflation. Households just called it misery. Inflation pushed into double digits. Wages stopped keeping up. The paycheck looked the same, but bought less each month. And beneath the embargo sat a weaker foundation. In August 1971, America shut the gold window. Dollars were no longer redeemable for gold. It sounded technical. It was not. The dollar's anchor snapped, and it began to drift. Credit expanded. Prices started climbing. By 1973, the gasoline was already poured. The currency was already softer. The system was already stressed. The embargo was just the match. One spark, and the whole room lit up. That is the pattern people miss. To see it clearly, you have to go back further. To 1956. To another choke point and another empire. Egypt's Nasser nationalized the Suez Canal. Britain and France felt their lifeline threatened. Israel joined the invasion to take it back. Militarily, they could move ships and troops. Financially, they were trapped. Britain's reserves were small, and its debts were large. The pound was fragile. The world sensed it, and Washington held the knife. Eisenhower did not need a fleet to stop Britain. He threatened the currency itself. Dump pounds, starve reserves, force a retreat. Britain withdrew from Suez. The war ended quickly, but the pound never felt the same, and the sterling system began to unravel. Empires can die in markets, not with a surrender ceremony, but with a run on a currency. Power changes hands quietly, so the pattern emerges, clean and brutal. A weakened currency meets a choke point conflict, then a sudden supply shock. In 1956, sterling took the hit. In 1973, the dollar did. The symptoms changed, but the mechanism stayed. Now listen to early 2026. Radios warn ships away from Hormuz. Analysts debate words like closure, but captains hear only one thing: danger. About 20 million barrels a day normally move through this corridor. Roughly 1/5 of global consumption. When it freezes, the whole planet feels it. It is also 4 times the scale of 1973's disruption. Back then, a few million barrels vanished. Here, the missing number is a different animal. There are bypasses, but they are thin. Saudi and UAE pipelines can reroute some oil roughly 6 to 7 million barrels a day at best. That leaves a hole, and the hole sits inside the strait itself. Much of OPEC's spare capacity is trapped behind the same gate. Most of this flow feeds Asia, China, India, Japan, and South Korea. Their refineries are tuned to Gulf crude. Alternatives arrive slower, cost more, and travel farther. Europe feels it in diesel. America feels it in gasoline. Asia feels it in lifeblood, factories, shipping, and power. When energy tightens there, the world's supply chains seize everywhere. And again, the currency backdrop is uneasy. Debt is high, rates are a strain, inflation is sticky. The system has less slack. When slack disappears, shocks amplify. Businesses raise prices fast, then cut jobs fast. Households pull back. Credit tightens. Markets don't wait 30 days to panic. They price the possibility early. Oil can sprint toward numbers once reserved for nightmares. The point is the speed of stress. In 1973, people stared at gas lines and thought it came from nowhere. It didn't. The warning was written earlier in the currency and the policy. One State Department analyst saw it coming. James Akins. In April 1973, he published a blunt essay, "The Wolf is Here." He was treated like an alarmist, a clever bureaucrat chasing attention. Then October arrived, and the wolf stepped into the kitchen. Some investors listened before the howl. After 1971, they watched the dollar untether. They moved quietly, not into predictions, but into protection. They bought what paper cannot print: gold, land, commodities, things that survive when confidence cracks. Gold had been fixed at $35 for decades. After the anchor broke, it rose. By 1974, it was near 200. Then it kept climbing. By 1979, around 450. By 1980, near 850. A 24-fold move in less than a decade. Meanwhile, stocks had been cut in half. Paychecks lost their power. A generation learned that normal can vanish. Those investors did not predict a war. They read the fuse, they noticed the gasoline, and they acted before the match was lit. That is not advice. It is a story about paying attention to structure, not noise. About hearing history in the plumbing of money. Because choke points do not change. Hormuz, Suez, the same narrow throats. And weakened currencies still react the same way. So ask yourself calmly, if the wolf is here again, what does it sound like? And will you recognize it before the door locks?